Hi again, everyone. So, after the last narcissistic recording video I did, and this happens quite often when I end up spotting a borderline down low male, I get I get the emails and the questions in the comments. How do you know this? How do you keep spotting this? Are you gay? And no, but there's nothing wrong with being gay. You know, don't care. And late last night, about 10:30, the Jeffrey Epstein documents dropped from the pedophile. Um, for those of you who've been following from Cernovich and Miami Herald, basically got the guy rearrested. So I'm going to be doing a video on that later. But I was reading through some of the documents and the stories, and a lot of things just got reminded of some things that just how depraved and horrendous this world is. And I kept with the comments like on my own story, and I've told it before of how and why I'm able to do this, but I even kind of like put more and more things together as well as I'm because that took me down one road. And so for those of you who don't know, I was assaulted by we were in ShopRite, me and my mother, and his kid was working there, and my mother, and I've talked about this, would be known as what is known as your typical fag hag. If you were gay, she was about it. I don't know how she never met him before, but he was like this flamboyant gay guy. And that's what, like, my mother, like, even at that young age, I knew what my mother, and yada yada yada. And and my mother's like, oh well, I need a babysitter for tonight. Would you like to watch Matthew here? Oh sure, we'll have a great time. I've told this story before. So he has friends come over. He's watching me as these friends come over. One's like him. The other one was so more like my father because he acted like masculine, like my father. Bad things happen. He was the ringleader. The other flamboyant one was involved, and the babysitter, I think, was just like watching. And I was the type of kid, if you weren't family and I didn't know you, I had no problem knocking you out. None. Because my mother was the final authority on everything. So if my mother did it, I figured it just had to be normal. Who you gonna tell? So I was like, don't say it, just wait for your mother to get home. Wait for your mother to get home. Because I've seen my mother go ape shit on a woman at the bank who was like said something mean to me, and like just like, and I thought that was like, she said something mean to me, and like what did she say? She told me I remember I told my mom, that woman just said, and my mother like an animal. And I thought that's what love was at the time. But I later learned it was just for the excuse to be able to make a scene and go off on someone who could give a fuck. what the issue was. It really wasn't about me. So I figured, I'll just tell my mother when she gets home, and it'll be that all over again. And I was upstairs. I heard them come in. And I was at like the top of the stairs. And I hear the guy, the guy from ShopRite, the guy was the babies, because they were gone. Yeah, I mean they were gone. It's like, oh, I just want to let you know, I had some friends over, and they were being a little silly, and one of them, he took his dick out, and she says Matthew saw it, and he kind of got, and my mother let out the fucking cat. And at the time, like, I didn't understand what says, so, like, I understood what a dick was. So I'm like, is that what happened? Like, all he did was, it wasn't until years later that I'm like, when my mother repeats the story, was repeating the story years later of how fucking funny she thought it was. How fucking funny it all was. Why bother? Because she was the final authority on whether something was right or wrong at that time. I mean, that's the best that guy could come up with. Some dude that you didn't know was coming over, and his friend pulled their dicks out in front of your son. In front of your 5-year-old son. However old I was at that time. Probably 4. Because she wasn't even pregnant. I'm 6 years older than my brother, so. And he went around. That alone should have made her pull a fucking kitchen knife. Like, you did what to my foot? What? Oh, that witch's cackle. And I realized, shit, man. Is it any wonder? Is it any wonder that you react the way that you do against women who fail to protect their children from fucking sexual abusers? Is there any wonder? Is there any question as to why I act the way I do to women who refuse to protect their children against sexual molesters? I mean, Christ, in my case, my mother, these are gay guys. This is like another level of fag haggery. And this is what I was raised in. My mother's 2 male best friends who grew up across the street from her, both gay. Best friend died of AIDS. My father's best friend, flamboyantly gay, died of AIDS. My father going to the grinder gym. So, being raised in it, around it, I've developed a sense to it, and I've talked about this as well. Moving on, once I started working for Macy's as a store detective, most public restrooms have an issue with down low guys just going there to meet up, hook up, and have sex in the fucking men's room. There's all these all these jokes about, glory holes, and it's all true. They get real. They start drilling holes in the stall doors, and they fix the toilet paper dispenser so you can move it, and they put secret fucking dick holes in there. They bring a shopping bag. They bring the shopping bags. So one guy puts 2 feet in a shopping bag. The other guy sits on the ball, and they go to fucking town. That's why you go crinkle, crinkle. You listen in the bathroom. You hear a crinkle, crinkle of a paper bag. Run, run. It was so much so a problem that when I started, we were busting these guys in the men's room doing this, because the men's room in the store I worked in Paramus Park, was in the children's section. And once you start busting them, like with anything, when you're making arrests or doing crime prevention or anything like that, you're building profiles, and there's just things you look for and similarities that are inescapable to the point where you could spot these guys getting out of their cars just from the dead-eyed look on their faces. Okay. So you're only listening to these guys, Ollie, or reading about these guys, Ollie. How do you know then? How do you know? Just by hearing their voices. I will tell you how I know. Once we bust them, okay, boom, boom, you got them, you're back in the office, okay? Now, every staff I worked on in most loss prevention security staffs always have female undercovers, female detectives. You have to, because you got, shoplifting is predominantly it's another 70% female thing. The fitting rooms, the bathrooms, you need female detectives. You need them, okay? And I will tell you, see, when the down low is challenged, okay, is when you're going to see that reaction, and when they're challenged by a female. So it's a stress point. And what I find is these down low males can't handle stress points from women. So when the females would have to challenge them on something, or they have to get a little, hey, listen, you fucking twat, I'll fucking end it. Like, you see it, you see the visceral reaction to it. These are all personality profiles that are stored away in my brain. You spend 20 years interrogating people, you learn everybody has personality traits, everybody has different things, and you can build profiles on anything. On anything. Profile gets a bad knock because of racial profiling, which is wrong. Okay, but there's a billion other profiles that are built to predict behavior. A million. So, and they all fall into line. So when you repeatedly see these types of visceral reactions, like you heard on Jenny's recording yesterday, like you've heard that. Go back on the other narcissistic recordings I've done where I've called out borderline males, where it's a borderline male. It's the same type of vicious invective aimed at a woman challenging them. That's how my father was. Vicious. Immediate. I get vicious, but you gotta push me. You gotta push me to get vicious. But I will be triggered, and I'm beginning to hate that word. I've been hating it for a long time. But you will set me off, okay? You want to push my button, be a mother who puts some fucking molester over your own child. You can start all the wars with me over that as you want. Okay? So that's where that comes from. I mean, it just comes from life experience and just being raised around it. Okay? And when you're in spending 20 years as an investigator and interrogator, you just build personality profiles on everyone and everything. I could tell you how every race chooses their best modus operandi to steal. The ones who do steal, I could tell you how they're going to do it, by and large. By and large. It's just the way it is. It doesn't mean you're a racist, or it's just profiles. It's just statistical numbers being put together. And you can do that with, what's similar about all these guys that we're busting doing this? They have this dead, pale, stone, crazed look in their eye. And I guess it's not something everybody can pick up either. I mean, you have to be a very analytical person to do that type of work in the first place, or I guess to even do what I'm doing. Because I mean, what this is it's really just analytics and profile building anyway. So that's where all that comes from. But I thought it a good opportunity to get back to a little my own backstory again. Made me realize a little bit more things about why I do react the way I do to things on certain issues, and where a lot of my own skills and abilities actually have come from. It's from a lifetime of experience of dealing with this. So I have to figure it's not going to be all for nothing. So maybe I had to go through all that so I can do this. Who knows? So I will be doing a Jeffrey Epstein video next. Because it looks like our favorite president has been completely, even though we say it can't be exonerated, it's about as close to exoneration as you can get, since all the girls have said nobody had sex with Donald Trump, and he never flirted with any of us. So all of a sudden, you notice that all went away. Next video, look for it. Channel still needs your support. Haters are out there. Haters gonna hate and gonna try to destroy. Channel needs their support. If you want it to be here, you know what to do with the links in the description box. Can use some more stories, contributors, the whole nine. Pushing forward. If you want to sponsor a topic, a lecture topic for the university, Professor Ollie's always ready for that as well. You know what to do with the links, and I hope to hear from you soon. Take care.